Yeah, this is new to us. We're used to having like a moderator helping us with our discussions, but Catherine and I have done this before, so I'm happy to be up here again with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think one thing I'd like to get out there early, I think a lot of people have questions, particularly for Catherine, about what's been going on this last weekend and such. We're going to try to address that briefly at the end of this discussion. So, if you have questions around that, we will try to get to that. It's on a lot of people's minds, I'm sure. So I guess the first thing I'm wondering is how many of you guys were at our talk at Token? We actually had like both of us on a similar panel earlier. Oh, like nobody. That's wild. I think we had more people at that one too.
I would have thought so as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's okay.
Cool.
Then
Yeah.
it's fine for us to repeat what we have spoken about in Singapore. Then all the better.
That's exactly what I was thinking. How many people here are with a protocol? Wondering? Couple of protocols. Trading firms? No trading firms. Very few. A couple of trading firms. Okay. And exchanges or like other exchanges or other media? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So a little bit of everything. And a lot of people who are apparently not with anybody.
It's fine.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'm going to start with some kind of easier questions. Yeah. So previously we talked a lot about USYC, which was my product. I guess we'll a little bit of introduction on that. For those who don't know, USYC it is a money market token run by Circle. It was run by my former company. I used to run a company called Hashnote that produced the USYC money market token. It is instantly redeemable into USDC, particularly now that we're with Circle. We can do that at any size you need. So it's the only money market token that can be instantly redeemed into a stablecoin. We recently entered into a partnership with Binance. So I'd love to ask you, we're super happy that you chose to work with us. So, what made you choose USYC as your money market token, and what kind of demand are you seeing for that type of product?
So to begin with, there's definitely already a very strong demand having a, interest-bearing asset as eligible collateral for a user to trade on Binance. And I did not see a lot of audience here that is, from the trading team. However, in general, for any trading team, prop firm, what is most important is capital efficiency, right? And so for a lot of our clients, this is something that they have been asking for a long time. Historically, people who trade on Binance, they are able to pledge other non-interest-bearing stablecoin as collateral on our exchange. Over time, of course, we see more and more demand from our investor to have again, and interest-bearing solutions, right? Whether it's for on-exchange or for off-exchange collateral solution, right? Some of the most important institutional initiative that we have designed and launched is the like of banking tripartite, for instance. To use that as an example, when we first launched banking tripartite, this stem from the demand from institutional audience where they want to have a meaningful mechanics to mitigate their counterparty exchange, risk, right? And again, this is especially when it comes to comparing with TradFi, whereby most trading firm, most institutional client, they can trade, but they don't ever actually put their asset with a exchange, right? So this is something that was very, very important for many of the institutional client who were either they have been trading with Binance for a long time but want to further scale their operation, or for a brand new institutional investor coming from TradFi in order for them to get comfortable trading on our venue. This is a must-have setup. When we first launched banking tripartite, most of our clients, we allowed our client to hold fiat or fiat equivalent with a bank. So really what happened is many of our institutional clients are just rolling T-bill futures. And of course, once you roll, you obviously have lots of transaction costs that is recurring on a monthly basis, right? And that's when many of our clients are essentially saying, look, if there is a total return money market solution that we are able to offer eligible collateral that will obviously just, number one, save a lot of hassle, and number two, again, at the same time, help them achieve optimal capital efficiency, right? So really, from my seat, at the very minimum, what we have seen from many of our institutional clients asking for, something like a USYC solution is really, just the ease of use, the efficiency, and basically helping them focus on what they do best, which is, again, trading, right? And leave everything else by leveraging a very efficient instrument.
I love to hear that. That's all. It's almost exactly why we produced USYC, which I guess we've done this a few times, so it's not surprising to me. I guess for the audience, I came from a trading background, so I used to run systematic options trading for Cumberland or DRW, and capital efficiency was absolutely the thing. So I love to hear that is what we saw as a need, and also what you guys are seeing. We hear at Circle as well from some of the larger hedge funds, particularly like the TradFi hedge funds, all definitely echo exactly what you said. Like they need their collateral to be off exchange, so they're working with some of these off exchange providers. You guys use Sifu, and if I pronounce that right, Sifu?
Sefu, yeah.
Sefu. That's always a confusion. So like you guys use Sefu. You guys use folks like Signum, which are happy to take USYC. And I guess there are other players out there that you guys don't take, things like Copper and such, right? But I think those are really important for TradFi firms to be able to do that off exchange. And also, it is par for the course in TradFi that you earn interest on your collateral. Crypto was really the only place where people were posting USDC and USDT as a non-interest-bearing money product. And like from my perspective, that was really strange. But that's what TradFi is now seeing as well. They're all coming into this market saying, like, why do I not earn interest on my collateral? Why do I have to post my collateral to exchange? And I think, you guys have very much solved that here. What are you seeing in terms of, so if we look at what we're doing in terms of Circle from a larger perspective and our partnership with Binance, what are you seeing there? Like, where do you see our larger partnership going from here?
Yeah. So first of all, and again, it's been an absolute pleasure working with Circle and the team. So since the formation of our partnership, we have definitely seen a rapid growth in terms of adoption or liquidity of USDC-based trading pair. I think there is also the macro backdrop, right, whereby the entire world is definitely going into a more regulated and with much more regulatory clarity as well, right? A much more regulated environment whereby a regulated stablecoin, to be honest, the importance of it is really much higher now versus, let's say, 18 months ago, right? And so having the partnership with Circle and ensure that we have a regulated stablecoin available in highly regulated jurisdictions such as, Europe, where, MiCA and USDC is really, at this point, the only regulated options available for our investor, right? If there is no USDC, frankly, there wouldn't be much liquidity available in the European market. On top of that, obviously, given the partnership with Circle, since the beginning of the year, we have seen much. So, of course, there is always ongoing growth in stablecoin as many of our clients coming into the ecosystem and activated trading. But in my seat, I'm definitely seeing a more rapid growth versus other stablecoin on our platform, right? More than double. In terms of liquidity, it is very, very similar as well. So, we definitely see that this will continue to improve over time as the entire world also follow some of the more ahead of the curve regulator and adopt a more robust framework when it comes to ensuring a regulated option is available. And on your side, what are you seeing, by the way, other part of the world?
Yeah, I think it's very much the same sort of stuff, right? Like we're proud to be the most regulated stablecoin out there, and I think what you've mentioned about us being MiCA compliant and the shift we've seen in the market for all of the exchanges, like particularly in the European area or the Eurozone area, with the adoption of USDC has been great. I wish we had the graphs from last time. So in Singapore, we had these graphs up that we got to show you the increase in volume for the USDC pairs on Binance, as well as the increase in liquidity. So if you haven't checked for a while, I think it's worth taking a look at the USDC pairs now. They are as competitive as anybody else at this point, which wasn't necessarily the case like 18 months ago. And I think in addition, with so many different jurisdictions out there now, like really pushing toward their own set of regulations, we're seeing many players come to us and say, "Hey, how do we do this as a more regulated?" I think a lot of exchanges are now looking to become more regulated and more buttoned up as well. The other flavors of things we're seeing are things like payments networks, like Circle's during their Circle Payments Network. We're seeing a lot of protocols leaning into payments and trade finance. I think a lot of that stuff is going to want to have a regulated stablecoin rail. When I look at markets like Turkey and Brazil in particular, we think of Binance as the on-ramp, right? People who want to get a hold of USDC to do other things like real economic activity all do it through Binance. And I think we expect to continue to see that, and we want to continue to support that growth through your channel as well. The other thing that we're talking a lot about, and I'm probably supposed to say it once on this panel too, is our new blockchain, which we're several years behind you guys on that, right? But I think it's interesting to see the proliferation of more TradFi-oriented blockchains. And in particular, there's a lot of noise around privacy that I think even Vitalik talked about recently. And I actually think that what Circle has done with pairing privacy along with speed and with a stablecoin denominated gas is actually exactly what TradFi is going to be looking for. So as we move into the future where we have this, we can move into a future where TradFi and crypto are no longer separated, that we're actually just doing finance on chain. I think these are the building blocks that we're really putting together here. So as far as, we've been talking a lot about other assets coming on chain. And we have a few ideas as to what we would do there. But do you have any opinion on what new assets you might see coming on chain or coming into Binance?
So similar to I think ultimately the ambition is very clear, right? Ultimately, Binance want to be whether you call it the crypto version of it or even beyond that, the super app for, a one-stop place for most people's everyday life, right? And so that would definitely involve us, over time, gradually expanding to potentially other real-world asset. However, one of the most important thing that we always look at is, historically, there has been a lot of tokenization effort around a variety of real-world asset. Nonetheless, I think it's very important that the particular tokenization need to, number one, be addressing a pain point, right? It needs to be solving a pain point. You cannot just go about and creating a pain point that you just imagine it and think that the rest of the world needs to agree to it. Generally speaking, like for instance, including the like of a money market fund, tokenized money market fund, what is being addressed is really you're helping creating more ease of use for institutional users to save the hassle of rolling anything, and on top of that there is the possibility of weekend settlement or weekend transfer of asset, which is very, very important. So again, number one, real world, meaningful use case that really meaningfully help and address a pain point. That's number one. And number two, liquidity, right? So historically, there has been a lot of tokenization effort whereby, people talk about fractional ownership. And this is just my personal opinion, by the way. Nonetheless, I think for a real world asset to really have a sustainable future, on a trading platform such as ourselves, there needs to be meaningful liquidity as well, right? So while obviously fractional ownership, those are all great. liquidity is at the end of the day, something that, if it's whether it's an individual investor or for an institutional investor, I think this is the one thing that both profile investor really cares about a lot. So the way I see it, the future is we're definitely going to see much more application of real world asset. Nonetheless, my personal opinion would be, both boxes need to be ticked in order for them to really succeed, in our world today. Yeah. What's your view?
Exactly the same. I couldn't agree with that more. Like I constantly tell people that tokenization does not create liquidity. A lot of people seem to think that they get liquidity from tokenization, and tokenization does none of that. You're putting it on a public database, like nobody cares. Liquidity comes from market makers, and there being a two-way market where people actually want to buy and sell your product. Making a market or making tokens for what essentially ends up being like timeshares, right, doesn't actually create additional liquidity. And I also think your point about 24/7 collateral is really important to touch on here. Especially for me, like because USYC was built as collateral, that's important to me. But also as far as like risk in the system goes, when I look at TradFi markets, the fact that margin is not updated all weekend, so you've got 3 days worth of not re-upping margin, to me that's crazy, right? That means you're holding square root of 3 more risk over the weekend, which is wild. And I guess that's a good segue into our weekend talk, right? So, what can you tell us about this weekend? Like, what would you like people to know about what's going on there and how you guys are addressing this?
So I must admit, I definitely had a sigh of relief just now when there's just one person raising their hand, being from a trading firm background. I think it's safe to say that the past weekend has definitely been very tough for everyone involved. For us as a platform operator and for investor, retail, or institutional alike, possibly around the world. And I think a few very important things to address here, right? So number one, it is true that we have definitely, there are definitely things that Binance could have done better. Over the macro-driven market event, there was a surge of volatility. During the process, Binance has definitely hit a few of its of our limit, right? When it comes to platform limit, and these are all things that we have already taken a very proactive measure to try and improve and to try and fix. But it is true that Binance should have done better, and we definitely need to do better. I think it's, again, similar to a lot of investors around the world. Most of us here at Binance has been, having sleepless days every day trying to execute on the right compensation for our investor around the world. Again, if it's something due to the depegging, the flaw of the system design, and also a capacity issue of our platform, Binance has already been issuing compensation and is still working our way through it. We do need to ask for investors' patience around the world as we work through this, and we will come out with more announcement shortly for again helping the overall industry, helping some of the suffered retail investor, and also more tailored assistance for heavily impacted institutional investor around the world. So those will all be announced shortly as well. Again, we have been working day and night to come up with the right solutions. That's not for me. That's too bad. But again, just for many anxious investors, if you have been waiting for us, please do bear with us. The amount and the impacted users involved around the world, the number is very large. Again, Binance today serves close to 200 million users around the world. So we do know that we should have done better, we could have done better, and we are absolutely going to work towards that and do better. Meanwhile, Binance as a platform, we will always make sure that we do the right thing for our investor. So again, some of those compensation that has come out, and there will be more on the way, and we will be coming out with more announcement. Meanwhile, improved risk control, improved system capacity, and improved design of related mechanism are all either underway or have already been rolled out. So that's just a few points that I wanted to use this opportunity to share with the audience.
I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I personally think that I see you guys working at it. I think Binance is always trying to do the right thing there. Personally, I think a lot of this came from overuse of some other levered protocols and looping and things that not totally in your control. So, I hope things resolve, and really appreciate your time sharing this all with us.
No, and thank you as well.
Thank you all.